everyone, this is Wilmar Calaguas, and today we will be going over Step 1 Foundation. It's going to be Module 6, and thus far we've gone through 5 modules, which you should have already been doing. And so if you haven't done them yet or haven't taken the time to really go through them, then definitely do that. So you should have already figured out kind of an examination of exactly what your business is doing. You figured out your niche, you know exactly what you want to do, what you're passionate about, what products and service that you're currently having really good results with, and then kind of really narrowing it down. If you have a ton of different products that you offer, maybe focus on a couple of them, make them very successful, and then segue to the others that you have. So it's really getting that focus down into what you're offering. And then once you know that, you have a clear message and you position yourself in the marketplace in a unique way so that you could be the big fish in the pond in your particular niche and your narrow niche that you are wanting to be the king the hill of. Then you did some market research, and hopefully you did, I want to say at least at most maybe 12 hours worth, but continue to obviously look at your market and study. And that could be including reading the books that your market would be reading, so that you can get you can grasp the type of information that they're looking for in your particular niche. And then you created an avatar, so you have a picture of your actual customer and what they look like, what they do, who they are, what they read. And the clearer that is, the clearer it is for you to identify them when you do a strategy session or interview them or meet them. And you can have the ideal avatar and who they are, so you can quickly identify yes or no if you want to work with this person. Or in the marketing aspect of it, do you want to how are you creating your marketing message to them, and how is it fitting? And when you're targeting, let's say on Facebook, what those characteristics would be as far as entrance. In Facebook, it's interests, your audience interests. And then right now, we will be going over your systems and operations questionnaire. Again, this part of the step 1 is really beginning to understand your business, right? Because the way I've put this system together systematically is that step 1 would allow me as an implementer, as someone that will be consulting with you, is that you would give me all the information necessary for me to make an analysis. So when I sit down with you, I can have a better grasp of really where your business is today, what it's doing, how it's operating. And essentially, if you're a new entrepreneur, you may not know those things, but I still want to know whether or not you know the pieces that you need, right? So that I can be effective in assisting you come up with the rest of it, or developing what you already have and how you want to accomplish things. And so the way I work with my clients, essentially that's why I set up my system this way, is that for them to visually tell me in written form, how they want to run their business and in what way. And for me as an implementer, I would take that and take a look to see what is the best way, what tools is available in the marketplace, so I can make that happen for you and make it a reality. And if you want my opinion on how to do it, I'm more than willing to do consulting, with you. But it's never me trying to tell you how to do it unless you're asking me to do it for you. So, Step 1, Foundation, Module 6, Core Systems and Operations. And here's what we're going to go over today, taking an inventory of systems that you use versus currently you have in place. So there is a difference. So you may be using a system that you're currently running, but it's not in place where you've defined it on purpose and then really sat down maybe with your core team or maybe someone else that you work with and say, okay, this is how we're going to run this particular system, and this is what we've set up to do it. So you may be just running a system, but not really have defined it to where you made an executive decision of this is how the workflow is going to go. So there's a difference, a system that you use and a system that you truly have thought about and put in place on purpose. And then which systems you will need to develop that's critical to running a system-based business. Creating systems that makes business much simpler, scale, manage, and measure. And then new entrepreneurs who do this part, you will, for new entrepreneurs who don't have anything in place, and if you do this part and really critically think through it, you will be 3x further ahead than most business owners that have been in business for years, as far as systems is concerned. And so, again, this is just the inventory and really trying to understand what you have in place. And once we get to step 2, that's when we're really, really dial in, what systems, you really want and what systems that we're really going to develop, and then have that be structured so that you can see a clear picture how each piece of your business is going to run. So in this module, whether you're a new or a business owner or startup, we need to, one, analyze what system you have and then really dial in whether or not it's working, not working, who's in charge, how it's working, and then any systems that you feel that you need that you don't have and once you truly need to improve, like yesterday. So let's go to it. Let's go to the SDB Implementer 7-Step Process Handbook Guide. All right, step 1, core systems and operations. In this module, we will learn what systems you currently have in place and which systems you will need to develop that are critical in running a system-based business. Creating system makes businesses much simpler to scale, manage, and also measure. So answer these 5 questions. What is your lead capture system? If you don't have one, how will you manage your new prospect and essentially manage, the business? And so what you want to do here, for new entrepreneurs, you probably don't have, a lead capture system. So it may just be not applicable or none. And for business owners, how are you, capturing your leads? Is it Facebook? Let's just say it's Facebook. Okay. So if you do marketing through Facebook, what does that look like? Do they, go to your website and then maybe, get a free gift, and then you mail a offer to them? What is that process of basically capturing the lead? Okay. What systems do you have in place? What software do you use to kind of capture the lead? Is it a CRM or is it like a a service, that you use to get that information that maybe links to your, CRM, your client relationship management. What is that flow? When a lead comes in, and how is the information captured? And then number 2, how are you cultivating your leads? Do you have a nurturing system in place? If not, how will you cultivate your customer base? So you got a lead. What are you doing with that lead? Okay, is it a, for me, it's like a systemization call. I provide like a free 83-page guide, and so I am constantly doing follow-up if they have any questions. Questions or need help. Maybe it's an email campaign that you use. To stay in contact with them. Is it campaign? Is it maybe like YouTube? Maybe is it like YouTube that you're you're doing videos? Is it like a monthly posts, or maybe a weekly video on YouTube, or a daily post on social media? So how are you nurturing once you get a lead? What are you sending them, so that one, always about adding value, cultivating the leads, always adding value, constantly offering value. And then number 3, what is your sales conversion strategy? How are you turning your prospects into a customer? If you don't have one in place, what systems do you need to create? Okay. And so, this could be a Facebook ad. And then this goes to maybe your website. They fill out a survey. And then they set up a meeting or call. And then if it's qualify, then you make offer. Then you create a partnership. So this is more for service. For my company, it's a similar, process that you follow. So you gotta have a little bit of strategy, here. For my strategy here, one thing that I do is I make it. So I do the opposite. Instead of making it easy for them to go through the process, I make it difficult. My survey is 19 questions. And so I really want to weed out the people that aren't really willing to fill out, the actual survey. So for me, if they're not even willing to answer 15 to 19 questions, which I've gotten complaints before that it's too much information, but I tell people that's done on purpose, because if you can't articulately answer the question and like at least give me 2 to 3 sentences for each question, then it's unlikely that you're really committed or you're really passionate about what you do. And so for me, the more content that I have in my surveys, usually those are my best calls and those are like my best clients. And so that's one thing that I do, with my process of converting, people into sales. I really want to qualify them off the bat, especially for me with systemization. I find that most people that want to do it aren't ready for it, to be honest, because it does take time. It does take effort, and most people, aren't willing to do it. And so I'm really looking for the 20% that are ready. And then for the 80%, I still give them value. I still give them the strategy sessions, which I give more than I should, with my calls. And then I give them the 83 pages to essentially get their thoughts in line and really analyze, their business. And so, number 4, your numbers tell the story. What are your data tracking metrics? How are you tracking them? What are the top 3 numbers you're constantly monitoring in your business? And so so if you're a new entrepreneur and you don't really know an answer to this question, then what I want you to do is like research, right? Like just go on Google and just write, what 3 metrics most businesses are tracking, and so just really start. If you're brand new, just really start to, be interested in really learning about, numbers that really truly, matter. And so I'll just put, the obvious ones here. Your, return on investment, your ROI. When you have like Facebook, there's just, metrics. I use like an Excel sheet to track all my metrics, from like impressions to click-through rates to the average cost per survey and landing pages, and all kinds of numbers that I'm constantly monitoring. And so what are those numbers for you currently? If someone said what's your numbers of your business, you give them like 3 to 5 numbers, and that would give you a good pulse of where everything is at. And so through in sales, it's number of surveys or apps, and then number of so your show up rate. So you get an app, but how many people actually show up? And then your closing rate. So all those are very important. And so those are just kind of like the example. So what are the numbers are you currently tracking today? And I'm telling you right now, if you're not tracking like your sales, and if you're new entrepreneurs, like expense, you don't have very much expenses. Well, it depends on what you're doing. But if it's like service based, your overhead isn't, shouldn't be a lot, unless you're really, you have investors and you're truly, getting office space and everything. But if it's like a lean startup, you should know, your expenses every single month, what's going in, what's going out. Number 5, what is your business structure? Have you defined a business structure or hierarchy? How will you run your business? Who is accountable? And to make sure systems and process are properly executed. And so this is going to be, if you're a new entrepreneur, it's probably going to be tough to really think through these things, but I want you to, struggle through it and study a little bit to really, figure out what a business structure could look like, for you and how you're going to run your business. And so for the most part, if you're a startup, or if you already have a business going, you probably already have staff, employees, you probably have managers, you probably maybe have a marketing person or a salesperson, and then you have your accountants. And so just write pretty much the structure that you have now, and then for the most part, is there a structure as far as your executives and who's in charge of what. So use this huge box to narrate exactly what that is for your business. Now the more details, the better it is, because essentially when I meet with you, all 17 of these modules will be done, and that you would set up an appointment in a strategy session with me. 3 days you would submit this before we actually have our systemization strategy session, and so that I could have a good grasp of where your business is, or what structure you actually want to run your business. And so some people that I talk to are, I'm talking to one now that's pretty much is having an investor investing about $80,000 to a business that is already running. So it's a purchase, but he is going to be pretty much an owner of it. And, he has a certain way that he wants to structure and set up his business. And so he's very detailed in how he wants to do it. And so write all of that, information right here. And so, just to be clear, this is just an inventory and giving me the details of every core system that you have, how you operate your business, who's involved, how are you getting your clients, how are you nurturing them, how are they being converted, and any other thing that you can give me as far as how you're running your business needs to be done on this particular module, so that I have a clear understanding, so you have a clear understanding, because I've met business owners that don't really have a core system. They kind of just do the actual service or provide the product, but they don't have a system of who does what. It's just everybody kind of just helps out, which may work for some businesses, but as far as scaling and running with business and growing the business, then that has to truly change, so it's run on businesses, and that your operation is known to you and how it works and how it's executed, and that these systems and processes truly need someone that would basically be accountable to making sure that they are being executed in the way that you've laid them out and documented them. And so make sure you take your time and do this and clearly communicate on paper, so that when I look at it, I have all the information I need to basically understand how your operations and the core systems that you have in your business. So there's only 4 things that matter when you systemize the business: systems, processes, documentation, and then executing all 3 of these things. This has to be constantly in your mind, and that is why I go over it every single module, because most business owners are in the way that I'm going to teach you how to document them. It's a simple way to do it, and I've provided a web application for you to document all of them, but then executing them. Aside from closing sales, you will be tempted to do other things, but when it comes to systemization, your brain power has to be focused on these 4 parts: implementing the systems you need today, figuring out its processes, documenting them, and executing them with your team. All right, that is module number 6, and I will see you on the next video right now.